Hey, it's A Humble Collector here, and in today's video we're going to take a look at the two-panel death card of Johann Auer. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. So going from the top here, we have in prayerful memory of our second dear, unforgettable son and brother, the young man Johann Auer, farmer's son in Shocking, soldier in a Grenadier Regiment, bearer of the Wound Badge, who sacrificed his hopeful life for the fatherland on December 4th, 1943, at the age of 19 and a half years in the south of the Eastern Front. He followed his brother Josef. Now, interestingly, the first time I looked up Johann, I didn't actually find a casualty record for him, didn't find anything on Volksbund. Did another quick look before I did this video, and sure enough, I actually did find a casualty record for him. So I guess before we move on here, I've had a lot of people commenting they want me to translate the German ranks into English. I haven't done that previously just because they're not always exactly one-to-one parallels. There's some nuances, but I'm going to try to do that moving forward just because it's been a popular suggestion. So, Johann was a Grenadier. A Grenadier is the same as a Gefreiter as far as I can tell. The reason that they changed from Gefreiter to Grenadier is because regular infantry units turned to Grenadier regiments partway through the war. This was literally just a morale thing. It didn't really change anything else. And a Gefreiter is essentially a private who's been in the military for at least 6 months. So, Johann here had been in the German army for at least 6 months and became a Gefreiter. Now, an Obergefreiter is like a senior private, basically, is a regular soldier that's been in the military for at least 2 years. That's my understanding. Now, Johann was actually born on June 12th, 1924 in Shocking, and was a member of the 3rd Company of Grenadier Regiment 217, which is part of the 57th Infantry Division. And he would be killed by a head injury at Kaniv, which is north of Cherkassy. Now, the 57th is a unit that's come up several times on this channel because one of the regiments in the 57th Infantry Division was Infantry Regiment 199, which is the List Regiment. Now, the List Regiment is interesting because they bore the honorific of the unit that Hitler had served with during World War I. That gave them the right to wear a cuff title, and that's pretty much it. As far as I can tell, they really didn't get any other perks from that association. And in fact, they actually, because they were wearing a cuff title, were sometimes mistaken for SS. And it was generally understood if they were captured by the Soviets, it was going to be very bad for them. But I do actually have several other cards from members of the 57th Infantry Division. Ignaz Fleckinger was a Schütze in the 11th Company of Infantry Regiment 199 and was killed by an artillery hit to the left thigh and foot at Le Montbellieu in France on June 5th, 1940. Xavier Hagenetter was an Unteroffizier in the 5th Company of Infantry Regiment 217 and was killed by a gut shot at Amatray, France on June 7th, 1940, so just 2 days after Ignaz. Aloy Pregler was an Oberschutze in the 13th Company of Infantry Regiment 199 and was killed by a shrapnel strike to the back of the head at Polova, Ukraine on October 9th, 1941. In the booklet of the Gustav Hoffmann Shoe Company, Werner Bever was a Gefreiter in the 2nd Company of Infantry Regiment 164 and was obliterated by artillery at Voronezh, Ukraine on September 17th, 1942. Karl Freundorfer was a Feldwebel and Zugführer in the 13th Company of Grenadier Regiment 217 and was killed by a headshot at Boromya, Ukraine, on August 14th, 1943. And finally, Georg Scheurer, who was an Obergefreiter in the 3rd Company of Divisional Group 57. He was killed by a perforating gunshot wound to the chest on August 21st, 1944. Now, interestingly, as we saw earlier, Johann here was preceded in death by his brother Josef. Now, I was actually able to find Josef. I was quite shocked. Josef Auer, from Shocking, was born on March 19th, 1921, so he was just a few years older than Johann, was an Oberschutze, or a senior rifleman, basically, senior private. Again, as we talked about earlier, Oberschutze is the same as an Obergrenadier, as far as I can tell. So he would have been somebody that had been in the military for at least 2 years by the time of his death. And he was a member of the 2nd Company of Kradschutzen Battalion 24, which is a motorcycle unit, and they were attached to the 22nd Panzer Division. So at the time of his death, the battalion was assisting the 46th Infantry Division on the Kertsch Peninsula, which is where he was killed in the northern part of the peninsula by a gunshot wound to the legs on May 16th, 1942. Just about half a year before Johann would die, his brother was killed fighting, actually fairly close to where he was at. They were both on the southern front there in Ukraine. Now moving to the bottom here. Until we meet again, my last word as I went away from my parents' house. Until we meet again. I said to my hometown as I went to a foreign place, "O sister's heart, O dear brother, now your childhood is sad. My parents, how happy we were. I will never return to you again. And in my home church, the bells sound a mournful tone for me. My hero's eyes look down on you from the throne of heaven." And moving to the back of the card here, we just have a war monument there with no text. So yeah, overall, really interesting card for Johann. The 199th Infantry Regiment's one I collect for, so because of that, I have a lot of other cards for the 57th Infantry Division. And like I said, first time I researched the card, didn't find anything. Very happy to find some records for him on a second look. And also being able to find his brother as well, I was actually quite shocked. I just kind of took a shot in the dark at the records and happened to get lucky. So yeah, really interesting card. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video. Please leave a comment down below. Love hearing from you. Thank you all for watching. Happy collecting, and I'll see you all again very soon.